Hi, welcome back. So in this video, we are going to be exploring some other repositories. So I'm going to go through and just work with some repositories, look at them, try and interact with some of the features so that you can get used to looking at other repositories, because more often than not in your development careers, you might need something, a piece of code, some project, some form of automation that will take way too long to write yourself. So what you would do is go on GitHub, search for some automation software, whatever you're looking for, fork it or clone it or download it. All three of them, we'll talk about them in this video, in the next few videos, and then integrate it into your program. So that's what I'm going to be teaching you how to do today. So first of all, wherever you are, there's going to be this little search bar up here. So you can search for pretty much whatever you want. Now, the one that I'm going to be using, or the repository, is called spoon-knife. It's a demonstration repository. But you can search for pretty much whatever you want. So if I wanted to search for some deep learning, I could search deep learning, or whatever you're looking for, something specific. You can see there's a bunch of deep learning repositories here. But what we're looking for is called spoon-knife. So I'm going to look for it. And there you go. You can just look through and find the one that you have. And by the way, these are the number of stars. So people who are looking at the repository or, currently favorited it. You have a language here. Usually these are, not all of them are declared, but you can see that the language is here. We have 45 HTML, we have some CSS, some Java. There's a bunch here. So let's open up octocat/spoon-knife. So you can see that this looks a lot more lively than our repository. Of course, it has 3 commits, 3 branches, 0 releases, and 1 contributor. So you can see there's over 5,000 pull requests. So there is a lot of pull requests here. You can see create tutorial, added my username to index, sample pull request. There's a bunch here, and we're actually going to be making a pull request later in this course. But we're not going to do it now. Right now, what we're trying to do is look at some of the other stuff we have here. So let's look at some of the features that we can use with this. So we can watch it. Pretty much we can just, watching is not the same as starring, by the way. Watching will pretty much just notify you if there's new conversations, new commits, anything like that. Any big updates, what will happen is you will be notified. So you're pretty much getting in on the spoon-knife community. It's not a big community, and I'll show you the biggest community on GitHub in just a second. But for now, I'm just going to unwatch it. You can star the program, or the repository, and pretty much what this does is it favorites it. It allows you to go and view it, interact with it. It's sort of like a hotkey. You can easily get to it very quickly. Then you have fork, which is pretty much going to take a piece or a copy of this repository and put it in your account. So a lot of people fork this because what's happening is this is called spoon-knife. This is a demonstration for people to fork and try and take this repository and put it in their own. So this is kind of like a training repository for forking. So what you can do is just go and click on fork, and what that's going to do is take a copy of this and put it directly in your account. So I'm just going to fork it. So now we forked it, and I'll show you what that did in just a second. But there's a few things that we have here. What we can do is create a new file, upload files, and find file. But that's weird. Isn't that not our account? Well, look up here. It says forked from octocat/spoon-knife. So this is actually in our account. And if I go over to my profile and look at my repositories, where is it? Just looking for it. Yeah, spoon-knife right there, popular repositories. You can see forked from octocat/spoon-knife. So let's go ahead and open that. And you can see that we can create files and mess around with this. So forking is a really good way of interacting with someone else's repository without actually having to damage it or work with it or ask for some sort of pull request. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to try and interact with spoon-knife, the repository, from the original in some other ways, such as cloning or downloading. Then I'm going to explain the differences between forking, cloning, and downloading. So let's go back to the original repository. Let's go ahead and try and download this. So it says clone with HTTPS. And what this is going to do is pretty much take all of the information and put it in a local repository. Or you can download it as a zip, which is just going to give you the entire directory directly. So those are the differences. Forking pretty much takes that repository and puts it on GitHub. From there, you can interact with it through Git. You can push and pull because it's yours now. This is probably one of the most common ways of cloning a repository because it still involves GitHub. Now, cloning is pretty much taking a link and then using it to take all of the information and make a copy of it on your local machine. This has nothing to do with GitHub, and although you can push it to GitHub later on, it's really hard to push a project to GitHub after it's been fully developed. There's a lot of conflictions and it's just very difficult. On the other hand, downloading just takes the entire directory, packages it up in a zip, and downloads it. So that's the difference between cloning, forking, and downloading. I would recommend if you want to play around with someone's own project, you can use fork. It's probably the best way of interacting with someone's project. But if you really want to download it and, try and get a feel for it on your own OS, you can totally do that. But still, I would recommend forking it because even after putting it on GitHub, you can still interact with it and you still get all of the benefits of using GitHub. Alright, so that's pretty much viewing other people's repositories. It's quite simple actually to view and manage and play around with other people's repositories. There's not much of a difference between it and managing your own. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So you can go through and look at repositories that you may like if you have somewhat of a development background. You can go and search for projects that you may like, maybe related to Python or Java or whatever language you use or whatever libraries you work in. So you can go and do that. Just go ahead, look around for people's projects and try and see what you can do with it. Maybe fork it, and if you have experience in that topic, go ahead and play around with it, see what you can do. It's quite fun just to go around and play with people's repositories. And I enjoy it, and I do it as a pastime as well. Also, it's a good way to sharpen your skills if you're a little bit rusty on something. Alright, so that's pretty much it for viewing other people's repositories, and let's move on.